CPCTC in a nutshell. Now let's talk about side, side, side for a minute. Now side, side, side basically means you have three S's, 1, 2, 3 S's, which means you have 3 pair of sides that are congruent. So what would that look like? Well, let's take a look here at an example. So we have 1 pair of sides that are congruent. Here's 2 more sides that are congruent. But where's the third S? Well, if you look at the figure, you notice that they share a third side. So that side's congruent to itself, and therefore that side, side, side. Okay, so that's an example of looking at that. And again, if we actually label this A, B, C, D, you could say that triangle A, B, C is congruent to triangle. Now this is going to be a little bit trickier, so let me erase some of this stuff here. Because now this is where you actually have to pay very close attention to the details. AB has how many tick marks? All right, if you look at from A to B, it only has 1 tick mark. So what other side has 1 tick mark in the other triangle? Well, that's from C to D. So that's C, D, A. Now the next thing I want to talk about is side angle side. Again, now notice you're going to have 2 pairs of sides that are congruent and an included angle. Again, included means between the 2 sides, which is why we go side angle side. The angle is between the 2 sides. So let's take a look at that example. So on here, notice that we have this side and this side that are congruent. So that's one of our S's. And we have this side and this side that is congruent. So that's another S. And then the angles between them is equal, so that's why we call it side angle side. So the next 3 examples are going to be looking at a figure and telling me if that figure, if those 2 triangles are congruent. If it is, I want you to write the congruent statement. So let's take a look at number 1. Are the 2 triangles congruent? Well, I notice I got these 2 sides are equal, right? These 2. Oh, sorry. So these 2 right here are equal. And then so are the top and the bottom. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I've got something that looks like side, side, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what else do we know? Well, we do know that it has the shared third side. So therefore, this is side, side, side. And so now, what is our triangle congruent statement? Well, you could say triangle ADB is congruent to triangle. And be careful here. What does A correspond to? Well, notice that angle A is between the single and the double tick. So what other angle in this triangle, so this triangle right here, what angle is between the single and the double? Well, that would be angle C, so that's C. Okay, now we went down to D. D is between the single and the triple. So what's between the single and the triple in this triangle? Okay, well, that's B. And then we have D. Okay. All right, take a look at number 2. Looks like I forgot to give you some information there. Angle SMT is equal to angle AMR. So now notice what we have here. We have a pair of sides that are congruent, another pair. So again, we're thinking maybe S and S. And then notice about the angle between the 2 sides. Okay, again, it's really important that it's between the 2 sides. And that gives us side angle side. Okay, so now we do our triangle congruent statements. Triangle SMT is congruent to triangle. Now be careful here. S. So S, M, T. Okay, whoops, sorry about that. We'll erase that line. So SMT. Now, what does S correspond to? So we look at the triangle AMR and we say, okay, well, what does S correspondent actually corresponds to A, M corresponds to itself, and R corresponds to T. Now we have our congruent statement. All right, last example. We look at this triangle and we say, hey, this I almost, your almost immediate response is to say side, side, side. But look closer at the figure. You do know that these two sides are congruent. You know that the shared sides are congruent. And you're thinking to yourself, hey, angle QDU and angle ADU, they look the same. So therefore, that's side angle side. But the problem is, you're making an assumption about the measure of those relative two angles. You can't make an assumption. When you're identifying congruent triangles, you have to go on by what you're given or what you can logically deduce. In this case, we cannot draw any conclusions about the measure of ADU or QDU, nor can we make any assumptions about the length of QU or AU. So therefore, all we really have is just side, side. Is that one of our options? Well, let's go back and check. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Those are the only four that work. So is side, side an option? Clearly not. So these two triangles are not congruent. Okay. All right, and that finishes up our lesson for today. I hope you guys actually learned something out of this. If you would like to know further reading, I believe if you go to chapter 4, and it should be in your textbook in chapter 4, and look under congruent triangles. So thank you guys very much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.